Recently, jungkook have continued to create false rumors with the aim of discrediting Jungkook and Taehyung's relationship, but this time they've decided to go a step further by using artificial intelligence tools to create manipulated images. These alleged photographs attempt to show Taehyung next to a woman, with the intention of spreading the idea that he is supposedly in a relationship with her. These types of actions not only reflect the desperation of those who create them, but also the constant desire to impose lies in the hope that others will accept them as truth. However, the most surprising thing is that these rumors end up being believed only by the jungkook themselves, since they are the only people capable of convincing themselves with their fabrications and living in a world where fiction becomes their only basis. What really causes these fabrications is the inability to accept clear facts. One of the things that bothers them most is seeing that Jimin is actually dating a girl, a fact that for many of them is impossible to bear. This reality is so uncomfortable that they prefer to take refuge in false stories rather than accept it. The truth is that Jimin likes women and has never had a romantic interest in Jungkook, since what many interpreted as a relationship was solely framed within the fan service imposed by the company itself. This fan service became the basis for the illusions created around them, but it was just another resource to please the public, with no real background. And this is where everything falls apart, because instead of accepting the authenticity of the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook, which has always been portrayed in a more real and consistent manner, the Jiminists prefer to repeatedly fabricate unfounded rumors. Each of these attempts to displace the truth has the same pattern, resorting to lies, altering images, creating false statements, and maintaining a narrative that only they consider credible. What they seek is for Jimin to always appear as the center of attention and the protagonist of any situation, even if it means constantly attacking Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship. Some even went so far as to publish a supposed ad attributed to HYBE claiming that the jungkook was real. But what they never tell you is that there is no official statement to back up this claim, and that this fabrication is just another example of the low level to which they have sunk, even using the company's name to try to bolster a lie. The situation is clear: the photos created with artificial intelligence are completely untrue, there is no solid evidence to support these stories, and everything circulating online is the result of manipulations designed to confuse people. And the clearest proof of all this is that, despite the jungkook's constant attempts, all they have achieved is to expose the desperation with which they operate, exposing that they are capable of inventing anything to avoid accepting a reality that contradicts their desires. Just a few of the real, precious moments Taekook has given us have been enough to make their love feel more alive than ever, and since his military discharge, that connection has been displayed in such an open and sincere way that it's impossible to ignore. This transparency and this courage in showing their closeness have caused many of those who cling to other narratives to enter a state of despair, and that's where the jungkook have lost their sanity, because they can't bear to see the truth shining so clearly in front of them. The jungkook have gone too far in their madness, and they've done so because they refuse to accept reality. Taehyung and Jungkook are deeply in love, and that love hasn't changed one bit over time. On the contrary, it has grown stronger and become even more evident after so many trials, so many obstacles, and so many lies that tried to get in their way. This is where the truth shines brighter than any rumor, because no matter how hard they try, they can never erase years of shared moments, genuine smiles that aren't fabricated or invented. However, the jokers and detractors won't give up and have created fake accounts, spread manipulated photos, and tried to link Taehyung to a woman named Jenma, reviving a lie that never had any basis and has been disproved countless times. The question is, why do they keep insisting on the same thing? The answer is simple: because they believe that by fabricating falsehoods they can convince the world that Jimin is Jungkook's official partner and thus confirm a relationship that never existed and never will. This is where the madness reaches another level, because we're no longer talking about simple rumors, we're talking about an unhealthy obsession that seeks to force falsehood into truth. But the reality is different, and no matter how many times they try, the lie always falls before the consistency of reality. These clowns have crossed the line time and again, forgetting something they should never have erased from their memories, that Taekook and Sojang had already faced each other, that they sued, that they didn't stand idly by, and that they ultimately won, proving with legal evidence that defamation has no place when it comes to them. That precedent is too strong to be ignored, because if they won with the truth before, what would stop them from doing it again against those who fabricate photos with artificial intelligence or spread false rumors? The warning is clear and direct: whoever continues to insist on tarnishing their name risks being next on the lawsuit list. The jungkook have reached the point of infuriating the Taekook, and never before have they been seen so angry, so determined to defend what is theirs and to set limits in the face of constant harassment. What they're asking for is fair, that Jimin come forward, that he take responsibility for his fandom, which has spent years attacking, harassing, and tarnishing Taehyung and the couple he forms with Jungkook. These fans have gone too far because they've had nowhere to feed for so long. The idol they adore disappeared from the scene, choosing to live his personal life with his partner, and meanwhile, they continue to invent stories to fill that void. The truth was already delivered to them directly by Dian, yet they still deny it, still take refuge in rumors that make no sense, because accepting the obvious would mean destroying the fantasy they cling to. Therefore, whatever you read or see outside of Taehyung's circle, don't take it as truth. Anything that doesn't come directly from them is weightless and only seeks to distract and confuse. The advice is clear and simple: report and block every fake account without wasting energy arguing or fighting. Don't feed those who only seek attention. Don't waste your time interacting with lies, because by doing so, you give them importance they don't deserve. Never forget that your energy and support should be directed toward what truly matters, and the only thing that matters is the most precious partner, the one who has never stopped showing us that their love is real, the only truth that shines above all else, Taekook. Taehyung and Jungkook don't just understand each other through gestures, they have a connection that goes beyond what anyone could consider normal, a connection that doesn't need words because their language is built with their hands, with their glances, with the way they seek each other out even in the simplest moments. When they're together, they don't limit themselves to just standing by each other's side, they hold hands as if that contact were enough to calm them down, they massage each other as a way to release tension and show care. They look at each other with a calmness that seems to stop time, and they take care of each other's every step as if one of them carried the responsibility of supporting the other at all times. These moments aren't common, they aren't repeated with the other members of the group, they are only perceived by the two of them, and that detail makes them unique and difficult to ignore, because what they share doesn't follow rules or conform to patterns, it simply flows between them. There are moments recorded on video that clearly show how they prepare before a concert, scenes that speak for themselves because there they are, one giving the other energy, calming their nerves, speaking in a low voice so that everything external dissolves and only that bubble of trust remains, where nothing else matters. And it's impossible not to stop and think, isn't it obvious what they convey with a single gesture? Because in those images, nothing forced is perceived, there's no rehearsal or performance, just the naturalness of two people who understand each other with a simple touch. It's there that the audience discovers the difference. What they share isn't a staged show, it's a reality that cuts across the emotional realm and escapes any script. Many might interpret their gestures as a light-hearted act, a passing joke, but when you closely observe the way they look at each other, how they physically approach each other, regardless of who's watching, it becomes impossible to maintain that posture. How can we explain that they always seek that contact, that their caresses appear without needing to hide, that every glance seems to hold a coded message that only they understand? We're not watching an improvised spectacle, we're seeing a bond sustained in every detail, manifest even in the smallest details. That's the key. Taekook doesn't need words to express what they feel, because their relationship speaks for itself in every shared gesture, in every silence that speaks louder than words, in every glance that breaks the barrier between public and private, in every caress that makes it clear that their relationship doesn't belong to a script, but to a truth that breathes on its own.